Just losing his last.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Puckett's Picks. I'm back with more games worth watching, and StarCraft 2 fans, this is your week. This week, we're going to be taking a look at two matches from two of MLG's biggest rivals. I'm talking Idra and Huk. Now, these two players met up twice at our 2011 Dallas Pro Circuit event, and the competition was anything but friendly. Throughout the series, we're going to see some amazing macro and micro play, spine crawlers used offensively, and Huk one-ups his mothership play from Raleigh with one of the greatest moves I've seen so far in StarCraft 2. Today we're kicking off with Game 1 from their pool play matchup, and during the game I want you guys to look out for a couple things. Check out the different techniques that both players are using to scout. Probes, overlords, hallucinations, changelings, they do it all. Also, check out Idra's macro game and his use of creeps spewed from the overlords to block Huk's expansions. And finally, at the 20-40 minute mark, watch how Idra uses the Broodlords to safely take out the cannons. It's quite impressive. Alright guys, here we go. It's game number 1, Huk versus Idra on Crossfire.
So let's do it, guys. Let's hop into this game. Huk versus Idra here, coming up right now on the stream. Thanks for joining us, and we're going to be jumping right into this game.
Map is going to be Crossfire. Huk in the top right as the red Protoss.
That's Protoss Day.
In the bottom left, we have EG Idra as the blue Zerg. Now, Crossfire is a map that I don't think we've actually got the chance to see any games cast.
You're right. I forgot
today.
It was in the pool.
Now, I want to note right off the bat, direct path from main to main. For any of you who don't know, oops, let's take a brief stop here by Mr. Natural Expansion. But what I want you to note as we journey over to the high ground pod and all the way across the map is how narrow all these entrances are. A little bit of space here, but not much. Again, a small entrance. There is the red player's high ground pod, and all the way up to Huk's base. There's all these circuitous paths along the side. This is the most open spot on the map. Still not very open. By securing this, you can secure your top left expansion. However, a lot of players who are aggressive, for instance, if Huk does have control over this middle, then the right expansion suddenly becomes very safe as it only has one thin ramp entrance. So third expansion, because there are two very legitimate choices, means big diversions in strategy in the mid-game.
Yeah, it's something that you really have to think about and prepare for as well. You know, for Zerg, do you have the creep spread that's going to allow you to connect those bases properly and be able to defend them? As Protoss, you know, third can often be difficult if it even gets that far. And so in this case, something that he might have to battle uphill with here in this matchup. Now, one of the things we've also noticed from Idra in this competition throughout MLG 2011 here in Dallas is that we've seen him go ahead and go pool first in a lot of situations, even if he had the opportunity to get that early hatch, as we're seeing right here. Pool down, we see the two drones go out. If he can plan it, sweet. If not, at least he's not too far behind.
And what I love about this style by Idra, oh, and there's the pylon going down. Now, Idra is going to build a gas in response, but he's only going to put in one, maybe two into the gas. Guys are very, very slow, what we've seen him do throughout this entire tournament. Huk is doing his trademark. Ooh, that's actually not trademark at all. He's doing the very non-trademark. That's actually still available for copywriting. The saving up of the Nexus energy. Very, very atypical opening from Huk, who is normally chrono boosting probes galore.
There he is going to spend one right there on a couple of probes, but he did let that get a little higher. A lot of times we'll see that right after that gateway goes down or that first pylon actually finishes. Get that first chrono out, those extra probes do come out, and we're also going to see a second gas go down. Now, it's likely he might choose to let that complete, or sometimes you just put it down just in case that drone might be sneaking in. And there it is. We just see a couple of drones there on the gas, and it means that the speed will come a little bit later. But, you know, I liked how you put it yesterday when we saw the same strategy coming out of Idra, is that a lot of players will rush to speedlings and then not necessarily be able to do anything with them. So
definitely.
It seems like he's found this nice little balance. We also saw Machine do the same thing.
Well, those two are quite close. We
Yes.
know that they are, in fact, both on Team EG, where everyone's age is N/A. We do see Liquid Huk taking out that drone, who I didn't realize had such a lungy, breathy way of dying. Ugh. But he's dead, definitely. We do see Huk now apparently spending that Chrono Boost on the Cybernetics Core's Warp Gate, getting more gateways up. So it looks like a little bit of a variant on his usual 3-gateway expand. And there we see the Zergling speed just now beginning for Idra as he begins to expand the creep while his Expo finishes.
Yeah, and a common strategy that we see that second queen picked up at the main before that hatchery finishes. First 25 energy immediately going down for that creep tumor because the connection of those bases and the spreading of that creep is oh so important. You do not want to get caught off guard, not having that mobility, and so it is very, very important. Not to mention, if you do go for that initial larva inject real quickly, you might not necessarily even have the income to do anything with all that larva, so it's very, very smart thing to do.
And we're seeing it looks like an Overlord try to sneak in here, but it's going to be picked off by the Stalker from Idra. Excuse me, by the Stalker from Huk. Huk's actually getting a very fast hallucinate. Looks like he's trying to wait for a little bit longer until he has enough money to be able to get that natural expansion. I mean, if you end up trying to take it too early, perhaps by not getting this hallucinate, you're low on units, and we've seen Idra love pressuring with Zerglings.
Yeah.
Look at this, right at the 6-minute mark and 30 seconds. That's when Idra ends up finishing the Zergling speed, so very nice timing on that.
We also have the lair being researched right now. There are the initial Zerglings up at the top. Do we have any more to come in here to harass? Doesn't look like it, and Huk may actually move out here. He'll easily be able to dispatch of these 3 Zerglings, and he doesn't really have enough of a force there to be able to even try any of a cancel, but he got that oh so important information. There are a few Lings still back at the natural, and he knows for a fact that Nexus is going down. Forge also being dropped for Huk, and those Lings will see that as well. Possibly try to swing around there. Nope, didn't see an open window of opportunity, but there still might be one there. Sentry comes in. Will he get the force?
Oh, it
perfection.
does manage to go down, but that will mean 1 sentry lost if Huk is not careful. Trying to do a little bit of micro, but no, it does end up plopping down. Huk is very adamant about making sure to not let those Zerglings through, but he does end up letting those swing up. And there's nothing really noteworthy to be revealed. Huk is actually going to bring everything back in a full retreat. And I think Idra's going to be surprised to see a full 100 energy on that Nexus. And if I were Huk, I'd be pretty surprised too.
Yeah, this is a pretty big tell, and of course the Nexus is finished. We've got our initial roaches coming out right now, and again, following along the same tech pattern that we've seen Idra do all tournament, going with Burrow and tunneling claws. Now, depending on the situation, we've also seen roach speed come out before the tunneling claws, but he saw that there was no robotics facility inside Huk's base, so instantly tunneling claws becomes that much of a big advantage for the Zerg army.
Idra continuing to add on larva, but uncharacteristically letting that queen get quite high on the energy of the natural expansion, keeping it relatively low, churning out a ton of drones, taking that third, and I really, really like this play by Idra. This is what I was worried about in his game against Kiwikaki. Idra did not take a third very quickly, but now taking it as his burrow and tunneling claws is going down, so Idra will be able to put on the pressure and secure that expo at the same time.
Denying some vision away from Idra as his army does manage to move through. We have some more Zerglings coming out. This time we do also have a cannon inside the natural of his opponent. Again, Huk's army moves back. Now, note that tunneling claws is about done. So what do we have the potential for an observer? Here is, I'm not quite sure if he's got that robot. Yeah, there it is on the way. In fact, almost completed as well. So that could kind of negate that initial advantage that the Roaches have early on with that tunneling claws.
Definitely. Huk is playing this out very, very slowly, but very smartly. We haven't seen any aggression by Huk. We're seeing him a little bit behind on the food count, but he still has yet to really get going. Idra now getting the evolution chamber. That third hatch is almost done, continuing to add on the roaches, and I do like this addition of the speed upgrade. The one thing that perhaps I don't like as much about this play is that you're almost committed to going just roach. If you are going roach with tunneling claws, because I mean, what other transition to a unit can you reasonably do? Will end up taking out those scouting phoenixes. No, it does end up slipping away. But I don't know if that's necessarily a big problem with Idra's strategy, because I mean, roaches are an extremely good unit as is.
Another Overlord trying to get some information. Does go ahead and see that robotics facility that did temporarily supply block Idra, but already had an Overlord on the way. However, what that did is the Overlord popped, expecting for him to be able to build more. So he had a second one on the way. The current food pop is 91 to 121 in favor of Idra right now. And that creep spread, which will be oh so important, is starting to move out. You'll also notice a lot of purple patches around the map. You see those Overlords drop that creep in places where there could be expansions, and this Overlord going to try to sneak away from there, but Huk smartly splits his stalkers into 2 groups of 3 and easily takes that out.
Looks like the bottom right expansion now continuing to get a little bit more saturation on drones. More drones being added, but in response, Immortals going down to deal with those pesky roaches. But, you know, I was a little concerned because Idra was taking this 4th gas very early. In patch 1.2, this would be a clear mistake, but as we see, Idra's been stockpiling gas like crazy, now getting the pathogen glands. We are going to see a ton of infestors, the long-lost spellcaster of the Zerg army. But look at this. Huk may have found an amazing time to attack, as Idra does not quite have those spellcasters done yet.
Yeah, he's going to have to, he's going to get 4 out, and I do believe some of them will complete before that pathogen glance is done, so they'll have to wait for some energy anyhow. The roaches are going to retreat back, knowing that there is an impending force that is coming down right now. A lot of sentries, zealots on the front, and there are a ton of roaches right here, but how will these force fields come into play, and will that Immortal do some damage? Well, we might not find out just yet, Day 9, as it does look like Huk will retreat back.
This is the real danger of all these narrow valleys. Huk being very smart, trying to position himself in a little bit more of an open space where he can zone things a little bit better. Don't want to be quite as clustered, because if there are any infestors out, they will easily fungal growth, and there's a huge number of infestors out there right now. Keep in mind, fungal growth does a little bit of extra damage and does that damage much more quickly. So that means these units can fall very rapidly to that attack.
So we'll have another Overlord get some information. We did have Idra see his army swing around to the side, thinking that maybe my 3rd might be in danger. He's also taken the gold as his 4th. Does look like there's a changeling in that army as well. Is it? Did I see it? Oh, there he is.
Clever eye. Look at this. Very, very nice positioning by Idra. Just easily hugging along with the rest of that army. We're seeing Huk looks like he has not really gotten any more warp gates. Still kind of high on energy, now getting Colossus, but it looks like now in a big engagement in the middle, and there's some big fungal growths going down. There is the burrow, and no! Observer easy to take out with those fungal growth, and now we see some more infested Terrans popping out onto the fray. But Huk may have had a little bit too powerful of an army for Huk to deal with. But look at this, 20 more roaches popping out. Are there any more infestors out on the field? Yes, indeed. So Huk is still in healthy shape to deal with this push.
Yeah, and the infestors did do some good damage there, but unfortunately a little out of position, hugging that in. It did become easy targets here for Huk. Now he could choose to sandwich here a little bit. He has some roaches on the opposite platform. Here come the infestors, but gotta watch out. You don't want to put them in danger. He manages to save them all, going after that Immortal. He was not hit with that fungal. Roaches coming in through the back too, and can he sandwich him up here and eliminate this army?
Just nowhere for Huk to go. Roaches on all sides. Going to have to hope that he has enough, but it does not look like it. Idra is streaming out with 20 more roaches en route. Idra annihilates Huk's army. No chance of expanding. Puking creep everywhere, where the property values used to be so high.
Yeah, then they just started to drop and drop even more. Now, another key thing about that battle we just saw, as Hive Tech is done and the Greater Spire is going up right now, no infestors were lost. So that means they're going to be able to gain that much more energy, and he can still throw a few in there and increase their numbers, which of course can be beneficial. Does look like he wants to go in for attack. There are some cannons up here at the front. Will he decide to go forward? Sees an Immortal. A few Zealots will back off just a little bit, and the Observer will keep a constant eye on what Idra's army is doing.
This is a very hard spot for Huk. Not only does he have to worry about the fact that this gold is about to get saturated with a lot of drones, that this 3rd is up and running, but even if Huk tries to take an expansion to catch up. He's got to worry about these Broodlords that are really close to popping. We see 3 Corruptors about to finish. That is more than enough to be able to begin putting pressure in the middle, because right now Huk doesn't even have any blink to be able to deal with those Broodlords. Just Zealots, 1 Colossus, hoping to get a second one. There's his Nexus going down right now, but Idra in absolute total control of this match.
Yeah, and nearly maxed right now. The food count is 115 for Huk and 192 for Idra, taking a page out of Rhett's book and his ability to just get 200 in just like a ridiculous amount of time. Here comes another Overlord into the base, see what else he can find. A few more Colossus are out on the field for Huk, and that third base is going down. But keep in mind, that third base will be pretty difficult to defend if Idra does decide to attack it. And of course, the front of that natural is pretty nasty as well, so a good unit composition here as he finally got rid of that creep, increased the property value there, and got the Nexus down, and there are the Broodlords. How will they come into play?
We even see the flyer attack getting upgraded, level 3 for the Roaches that are already doing 20 damage per shot. We see another expansion by Idra encroaching in on Huk territory, but Huk does not have any way to deal with that easily. Huk actually has to keep most of his army at the back side because he can't keep it at the front, doesn't want to get cut in half away from his expansion. Huk is forced to play as defensively as you can play at this point.
And we are going to see more Overlord checking or info gathering here. And I love this. Broodlords from the outside. Not really any threat to him from the Protoss army that can take these out. And so he'll be working on these pylons. They're beating away momentarily, but I really do like this. And we're seeing more Zerg players strategically position Corruptors around the map to be able to do exact damage just like this right here. If he can remove the threat of the cannons, it'd be much easier to move forward if the army of Huk is not there. We've seen a pylon go down, a cannon as well. Another pylon goes down, and is it possible that he could get this forge that is currently upgrading right now for Huk? That would be a big loss. Right now they're trying to get rid of those Broodlings, but it looks like it is going to go down before that upgrade completes with more Broodlords on the way.
And this is such patient, smart play by Idra. He's just going to inch his way forward, a little bit at a time, launching a huge amount of Broodlings right there. Broodlords pulling back smartly. Huk's trying to use these Colossi to keep the Broodling count low, but keep in mind those Broodlings just pop out whenever Broodlord attacks, and there's the fungal growth to lock down some of those Blink Stalkers. And now Idra, he does have a good opportunity to weasel his way in with all of those Roaches, continuing to add the creep all over the map. The Zealots and Sentries try to come to the front, but Huk is still way out of position.
Yeah, and I like the Infestor placement right here. He can stop some of the force. He does
a Neural Parasite doing damage to the Zealots from behind. Does manage to take out that Infestor, but the Roach and Broodlord count so high. There's another Neural Parasite. The blink forward, and Huk amazingly able to defend that attack, but at what cost? Roach is streaming up to the top left expansion. Can't warp in the Sentry in time, and Huk is in prime time. Or excuse me, Idra in prime position to take out Huk's Expo.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it looks like he's going to go for right now, and Huk will say GG.
All right, so Idra takes game number 1. Make sure you check us out tomorrow for game 2 and Huk's play of the tournament.